So this practice is called Apana Vayu. And Apana is the downward flowing energy. The energy in the yoga tradition, this is the energy that flows down and kind of grounds us and connects us to the earth. So that's different than prana, which is the upward flowing energy, which is often associated with kind of the lungs and the breath and sort of moving upwards. So apana, this practice is really about a lot of grounding down with our legs, and then finding the orientation or kind of tuning into the orientation of the, especially the thighs and how they're articulating with the hips. So yeah, we can give that a shot. Lots of standing in this practice, and then towards the end we'll spend some nice time with legs up the wall or other type of inversion, and then a supported fish pose to kind of open up the chest and find a different way of being grounded while we're reclining. So we can start seated. Feel free to sit up on a bolster or a block. So if your hips stay a little higher than your knees while you're sitting. And we can start by breathing into the belly. So we'll ground down through our hips, let our legs be heavy. Our spine grow up tall on each inhale. Think about breathing into the belly. And if you like, I invite you to bring a mudra, hand mudra, for each breath. We can start with Gyan mudra, bringing the first finger to the thumb. We'll take a deep inhale like this. Into the belly, and then without holding the breath, exhale. And at the end of that exhale, switch to the next set of fingers. At the end of that second breath, we'll switch to the ring fingers. Go at your own pace. We'll go through each of the fingers twice. So we'll do 8 deep breaths all together. Whenever you're done with your 8 deep breaths with hand mudra, you can bring your hands to prayer in front of your heart. All done with this, we'll start to bring in some movement with our breath. Bring your fingertips out to touch the ground, and then we'll inhale, flipping the palms up, bringing the arms all the way up. Maybe the hands touch if that has enough room for your neck and your shoulders. And as we exhale, big slow wing flaps, letting this movement of our shoulders really open up the lungs, expand the rib cage. Moving at the speed of your own breath here, timing up the end of the exhale with fingers touching the ground, the end of the inhale with the fingers all the way at the top. One more breath cycle like this. We'll stay up, and then we'll drop the left hand down, and inhale, reach over to this side. Open back through the shoulder, maybe bringing the gaze down towards the hand. It's comfy looking forward, and then maybe bringing the gaze up, tuning into any sounds or sensations in your neck. An inhale will come all the way back to center, and then exhale, coming over to the other side. Really letting the left side of the rib cage expand and inflate, drawing the left shoulder back, and then playing a little bit with the gaze, looking down, slowly, gently starting to look upwards, tuning into any sounds or sensations in the neck or the shoulders. Another inhale as we come all the way up, and then we will exhale, drop the right fingers forward, the left fingers back as we open up towards the side, belly button aiming over towards the left knee, breathing in here. Breaths in this position, and then our next inhale takes us back to the middle. Exhale over to the other side. Left fingers forward this time. Few deep breaths here. And inhale, bringing the palms all the way up. We'll bring them down in front, palms onto our knees, and we'll take some seated cat and cow here. We will, as we exhale, tuck our tailbone under, tuck our chin in. As we inhale, chest comes forward, chin comes up, tail goes up behind us. Moving through several cycles here at the speed of your own breath. Finding a comfortable range of motion. Knowing that as you warm up, you could always increase it later if you want. One more cycle like this. Come back to neutral. And then we'll do, we often do circles where we're kind of scraping our tummy or our chest around in a circle. This time we're gonna give this a try by letting our head drape over, kind of like picturing a tassel on the top of corn. Coming forward with the head. The rest of the spine follow. Being very gentle up at the top, maybe the chin comes up, but we don't want the head to dangle backwards in an uncontrolled way. Once you've done a few circles in one direction, you can change sides. Go in the other direction. Letting your head be heavy, especially to the front. Sides. Once you've done an equal number of circles on each side, take our hands out in front and come into a tabletop position. You can move any props off to the side. We'll start here with cat paws. So knees are right underneath the hips, fingers are spread out with the palms underneath the shoulders. We'll lift the heel of one hand up, and the balls of the finger, and then the whole finger. We'll pull that hand in, bent wrist, tight little fist. And then we peel those fingers, balls of the hand, palm of the hand, down onto the ground and then onto the other side. Feel free to speed this up a little bit if you like, but make sure you get the peeling on and off sensation to really warm up the hands and the fingers. A little bit of hand and wrist action here because we have some downward dogs in this practice. When that feels like enough, you can sink your hips back towards your heels, stretch your arms out in front, and we'll just take a moment to ground down on our mat before we start the standing practice.
Letting your hips be heavy. Letting your spine waterfall forward. Head connects with the ground. Your choice, you can either let your elbows be relaxed and connect to your mat, or you can energize through your arms. Straighten your arms, maybe enough that your elbows come up off the ground. Take one more deep breath here together, and then come back up to our tabletop. We'll spread out our hands, press down through our cat claws, kind of digging into our mat. Tuck our toes under, and then we will come up into a downward dog, letting the head hang heavy, letting the knees stay bent so we can shine our sitting bones up towards the ceiling. And then as we peek back towards our feet, we line up our feet so that they are parallel. So the Apana Vayu class, we're thinking about allowing the heels to relax down towards the mat. It's okay if they don't touch, but especially if our heels aren't touching, we want our feet to be parallel so we can make any adjustments that are needed. From here, we can bend our knees and start to walk our hands back towards our feet, and letting our knees bend very deeply, let our head hang, come forward into Uttanasana, forward fold, letting your knees be bent here, hips can send out behind you, weight centered over your feet, head is relaxed. Ground down through our feet, charge up through our legs, inhale, coming all the way up, and then exhale. Here we are standing, one end of our mat, and here we can take our block, and we'll actually bring the block in between our legs. So I'll maybe stand like this to start with. So if we stand with the block kind of in between our thighs, above our knees, we can get the feeling of squeezing in on the block, and we might feel that that helps to draw up our kneecaps, so we have very energized legs. That's nice. We get to feel that power and grounding energy in the legs. Then we can try something as a bit of an experiment, and this is sort of subtle. We can think about squeezing the block behind us. So the block might subtly stick out a little bit more behind. And then we can try the other way, squeezing the block in front, so the block, maybe a matter of millimeters, comes out in front. So we can oscillate between those two. Block comes in front, block comes behind. Ideally, we want to do this with straight legs. The difference here is external rotation of the leg bones as the block comes forward, and then internal rotation of the leg bones as the block comes back. So find a middle position, a happy medium with your block, where your knees are pointing straight forward. You feel like you have stability in your body. And then in the same way that we draw up on our kneecaps, we'll think about activating the muscles that push the block forward and also that pull the block back, and then keep our legs very aligned. So a very, very strong grounding energy in the legs. From here, we'll take a deep breath in, arms coming up. Exhale, swan diving forward. And then in this position, often we tend to scoot the block out behind us when we're in forward fold. Think about finding the middle way. Think about still applying some squeeze in on the block, even as you're bending over in Uttanasana. Head hangs heavy. From
From here, we'll ground down through the feet, charge up through the legs. We'll take a big inhale, rising all the way up. And then we can exhale, set our block down at the front of our mat. We'll inhale again, arms reaching up. Exhale, swan dive over, bent knees. Recalling the inward squeeze of the block, so remembering that feeling of the block. And then we'll press our hands down, walk our way back into a downward dog. Checking for parallel feet, letting our sitting bones shine up towards the ceiling. And even in this downward dog is a standing posture because we are putting weight into our feet. Even here, recalling the inward squeeze of the block. Finding that grounding, downward flowing energy in the legs. From here, we can inhale, lift up on the right leg, and then exhale, take as many steps as you need for the right leg to come forward. And then we can get lighter through the hands, coming up in a crescent lunge. Back heel is floating. Asana, if you like, you could put the back knee down. From here, we'll take a deep breath in. Exhale to let the shoulders relax. Recalling here the inward squeeze of the block. So aligning our hips, finding that middle rotation of both leg bones as we squeeze in on the memory of the block. Take another deep breath in here. And then exhale, we'll rotate towards our bent leg. So if you step the right leg forward, this will be the right arm coming back. Take a deep breath in here as we return to center. And then as we exhale, hands come down on either side of the foot. Option here to come back to a downward dog, to come into a tabletop or a child's pose, or if you like, to come forward into plank. Hands right underneath the shoulders. Inhale here, and then either dropping your knees down or gently coming down onto your tummy. Option for a back extension here, whatever type of cobra or upward dog. And then coming back to meet everyone else in downward dog. Checking out the alignment of the feet, squeezing in on the memory of the block. We'll inhale, left leg comes up this time. Exhale to step forward into lunge. Back knee can come down if you like. Squeezing in on the memory of the block, and then the arms up with an inhale. Feeling strong downward flowing energy through the legs. You can open up through a twist. So letting the left arm come back if it was your left leg that stepped forward. Take a deep breath in here, and then coming all the way up, back to crescent lunge, asana with the arms up. And then exhale, hands come down, framing the front foot. Option to come back into a downward dog, a tabletop, or child's pose, or if you like, coming up into a plank, either dropping the knees or coming down through chaturanga. Tops of the feet come down, gentle back extension, and then finding a downward dog or a tabletop. You're in downward dog, recalling the squeeze of the block between your legs, on your feet parallel. From here, we'll inhale, right leg up. Exhale, stepping forward. Come up momentarily into a crescent lunge, and then we'll open up into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So here, and anytime you need to, feel free to take an inhale, take the bend into the front leg, and
Exhale to come back down, pressing into the outside edge of the back foot. Back leg is long and straight. Front knee lining up with the middle toe. And here, even with our legs wide apart, we're calling a squeeze, especially on the inside of the back leg. So a bit of an internal rotation on that back leg, squeezing into the block. A bit of an external rotation in the front leg, making sure that our knee doesn't cave in. Take a deep breath in here. And we'll bring our hands to our hips, and we will bring our feet to parallel and then slightly toe in with our toes. Options here for Prasarita Padottanasana. We'll do a wide-legged forward fold. You can keep your hands on your hips if you like. If you like the variation where you interlace your hands behind your back, feel free. I will cue karate chop into the hip creases, sending the hips back, bending the knees, slowly, gently coming forward. And then once your head starts to come down, you can free up your hands. Maybe your hands come to your calves. Maybe they come to the floor, maybe to blocks. Breathing into the inner thighs here. Letting this be relaxing. Bring your hands out underneath your shoulders. Bring our backs up to parallel, so the gaze looking out slightly forward. Back of the neck stays long. Bend our knees again, send our hips behind us. Hands come to hips, and then we are all the way forward, or all the way up. We can change our foot orientation, holding our back heel up. And then exhale, coming down, finding our way either to downward dog, to a tabletop, to a child's pose, or maybe into a plank or vinyasa. Whatever back bend variation suits you. And then finding your way for 4 deep breaths in child's pose or in downward dog or maybe in tabletop. Using this time to dive deeper and investigate the feeling in the legs. Next deep breath in, we'll lift the left leg, step forward with the left leg, and then inhale into Anjaneyasana, the crescent moon pose. We'll open up into a Virabhadrasana 2 or Warrior 2. Pressing very firmly into the outside edge of the back foot. Strong, straight back leg. And then feeling the memory of pressing in on the block of the back leg. Lining up the knee with the middle toe. Taking a breath and straightening the legs whenever you need. Using this as an opportunity to feel the grounding, Apana, downward flowing energy. Here we're going to bring our hands to our hips. We can take our toes in, slightly pigeon-toed. Select whatever arm variation you like. This time I'll take my hands to my hips. Take a deep breath in while staying tall, and then exhale, knees bend, hips move back, and then letting the head hang. Maybe the hands come down to the ankles,
Down to the floor. Letting this be a gentle and relaxing opening for the inner thighs. Now we can bring our hands out underneath our shoulders, straightening up, straightening our back, maybe bringing our gaze forward. Sinking our hips back a little bit more, bending our knees, hands come onto the hips. Inhale our way all the way up. We'll change our orientation back towards the front of the mat, letting the back heel float up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, bring our hands down, framing our foot. We're here for vinyasa or for downward dog, tabletop or couch pose. Finding 4 deep breaths here in whatever position feels restful. If you're not in downward dog, you could make moves to come into downward dog, aligning your feet, getting a sense of squeezing the memory of the block, bending your knees, and then we'll start to walk our hands back towards the back of the mat to Uttanasana, letting the head hang, feeling that sense of squeezing the block. Legs are steady and centered. Ground down through the feet, charge up through the legs. Inhale, bring all the way up, and then we can exhale, hands come to our hips. From here, feel free to set up your blocks at the front of your mat. We'll step forward to do a warrior, and it might be nice to have your blocks there as a little extra support. Also could keep your hands off the ground, so depends how you're feeling today. I like to have my blocks up there, and then I can decide when I get there. So we'll start with hands on hips. We'll take a step forward with the left leg, and then we'll push off the back toes with the back toes still connected. Start to transfer more and more of our weight onto our left leg. And if we have a long straight line between our back toes out through the top of our head, we're centered to the front of our mat. This is a strong warrior 3 posture. And as long as we stay with alignment, we have the option to tip forward any amount, as long as our hips stay pointed down. Another way to think about hips pointing down is to recall the memory of squeezing in on the block. So the toes of our floating back foot, if it is floating, still point down. And then we have the option here to grab our blocks if that feels comfy. Here we can start to get lighter through our hands if we were on the blocks. Start to toe down through our back foot. I'll change my orientation so you can see me. From here we can keep our weight in our standing left foot and come into any variety of tree pose. So the foot presses in on the standing leg, either above or below the knee. Higher foot placement might seem fancier, but it's not necessarily harder. Sometimes the balance is actually trickier with the foot lower down. Here, even though our bent knee is opening, still want to get that sense of squeezing in towards the center of the body. So we have this strong taproot of grounding energy moving down in our savasana, the tree pose. Get a chance for that taproot of muscle energy to help steady us. We can swing our foot forward, bring it back, and then we can start to step back into our crescent lunge. Bring our hands down to frame our front foot. And option here for vinyasa of any kind. Or for breathing at the back of your mat. Take a few breaths here in downward dog or in child's pose or in tabletop. Recalling the squeeze of the block in between the legs, keeping the feet parallel. Maybe noticing if our heels have relaxed a little further down towards the mat. It's okay if they do or don't. Just something to notice where our body's moving in space. When that feels like enough, you can start to walk your hands back into a forward fold. Still recalling the squeezing of the block. Grounding down through the feet, charging up through the legs. We'll inhale all the way up at the back of the mat. We bring our hands to our hips, this time stepping forward on the other foot, pressing on to the toes of our trailing foot, and finding here good alignment. Have a taproot of energy going down through our front leg, great alignment going forward. This long, straight diagonal line, great warrior three. We feel drawn to it. We always have the option to tip forward any amount. Maybe finding the blocks, a little extra support. Wherever we find ourselves in warrior three, squeezing in on the memory of the block. Turning the toes of the back leg down towards the mat, even rolling up a little bit through the inner thigh of our back leg. One more deep breath in here. Gently start to come all the way up. We can find tree pose on this other side. Finding any arm variation that suits us today. Putting most of our focus, most of our attention into the standing leg. Getting the feeling of squeezing in on both legs. Even though this knee is turned out, we're still pressing in with the foot. Still have that sensation of central alignment, strong grounding energy, rooting down for our balance. A few breaths here. Lots of time to fall out and get back in. Touch down onto a wall. And that feels like enough. Return
toes back behind us. Find this strong alignment. Start of warrior 3. Then we can come down, bring our front foot, finding downward dog or tabletop or maybe child's pose. Maybe coming through a vinyasa. Finding a few breaths here. Wherever you are, thinking of finding that central connection between the thighs, slight sense of drawing in, squeezing the block. Keeping the feet aligned. If you're in tabletop, you can keep the toes tucked. Help keep your feet from crescenting. From here we'll find our way onto our tummy. Whatever way makes sense to you. Then we can find a Sphinx pose. This is nice, even if you didn't get the chance to do the vinyasas during the practice. Let's look at a nice extension here. Pressing down through the tops of the feet, growing long through the tail, sending the tail down towards the heels. The chest, reach out in front of you, heart shining forward. And then pressing down through your forearms to invite your shoulder blades a little deeper onto your back and to let your neck grow a little bit taller. Definitely an active back extension here. One deep breath in here, and then as we exhale, melt down, melting our heart forward as we go. Bring our forehead onto our hands and then do some gentle windshield wipers with bent knees, feet sliding side to side. From here, we have the option either for an extended child's pose, maybe supported child's pose if you don't want to do the inversion, or to do a restful type of inversion. This could be coming into the wall and just letting your legs rest together up on the wall. It could mean lifting your hips so that your hips get to rest a little bit higher than your chest. So this would be maybe on a block or on a bolster. Another option would be to come into Viparita Karani Mudra. So stepping both feet into the wall, lifting the hips up, bringing the hands underneath the hips, and then coming either into this boomerang posture that is Viparita Karani Mudra, or finding a Sarvangasana shoulder stand. Pick an option that feels easy and restful. If you're in shoulder stand or Viparita Karani Mudra, commit to keeping your gaze up at the ceiling. You don't want to be moving your head around when you have the weight of your body on your shoulders and the back of your head. Keep looking up. Over here, we let this inversion kind of readjust our circulation,
fluid from our legs, from the bottom half of our body gets a chance to return to the heart, a little less work. Organs get a chance to renegotiate their parking spots in the abdominal cavity and in the thoracic cavity too. This is in the yogic tradition, we talk about giving the thyroid a little squeeze by having this compression in the neck. One of the nice things about being upside down is it also gives us another perspective to look at things in a new way. That feels like enough. Start to roll your way down, or if you were in a supported child's pose, you can always roll your way back up. Take a moment just to let the snow globe settle after we shook it up. Take a few breaths, either kneeling up, if you were in child's pose, or starting to bring your legs down, your hips down. You pick the inversion. When you feel ready, you can gently roll off to one side. And then we can find our way to a supported fish pose. So maybe using 2 blocks, or today I'm using my soft bolster in between my shoulder blades. I will have my bolster about here. The block will be like a pillow under my head. And especially for those inversions that have a bit of a squeeze through the throat, this gives us an opportunity to open the throat, open the chest. If this feels tender at all on your lower back, you could always bend your knees. Your hands can be arms kind of out beside your body. You're getting ready for savasana, or if it feels okay on your shoulders, just bring your arms a little further out. We take the opportunity to really melt our shoulders over the sides of the bolster, over the block. Spreading wide through the collarbones. Kind of undoing that tight chest, arms forward posture that we use so much when we're working at a desk or driving. Your breath invite a little more ease into your body.
Gently bring your hands behind your head and lift your head up slightly. You bring your elbows down to prop yourself up. Sit up, roll up just enough to move your props out of the way. We can settle back down and find the final relaxation of this practice in savasana. Letting your feet flop out lazily onto their sides. Letting your ankles be loose and relaxed. Letting your calves be heavy, sinking into the mat. Knees are juicy and alive. Feeling your thighs heavy, relaxed. Having a sense of spaciousness in the hips, allowing for the left and right side of the pelvis to move apart from one another just slightly. Just enough to let the sacrum sink down, grounding into the mat. For all the muscles of the hips to relax and spread out. Allowing for the lower half of your body to be vast. Spreading down and out and away from your upper body. Down beyond the reaches of your toes. Out to the sides, wider than the extent of your hips or your legs. Your spine contact the mat. Feeling the gentle expansion of your ribs with every inhale. Sinking down into the mat with every exhale. Broadening across your shoulders as your shoulder blades sink down into the mat. Letting your arms grow heavy and relax. Letting go of any gripping in your forearms. Letting go of any tension in your wrists, your palms. Allowing your hands to spread out and then for your fingers to curl in gently. Feeling all the muscles of your neck relax, your jaw, your tongue inside your mouth, all the little muscles around your ears, around your eyes, temples and your forehead, smooth out and relax. Continuing to draw the breath in, feeling the expansion with every inhale. And then feeling the exhale down through your lower body. Your breath release down through your legs, out through your feet. while practicing this breath, all the while sinking down heavy, down into the mat. You find yourself distracted or lost in thoughts, you can always bring your attention back to the breath. Your ribs expand with every inhale. Exhaling the breath down through your legs, through your lower body, out your feet. Becoming aware of thoughts or distractions. It's not a problem. It's not an error. It's an opportunity to find your way back to your breath. Retreading the path back to yourself. Knowing that a well-worn path will be easy to find again. Continuing to return to the breath. It's always there for you to return to. Slowly starting to bring some movement into your fingers, into your toes. Starting to circle your wrists, your ankles. Gently turning your head side to side. Gentle movement for your neck. Balance. If you like, you can bring your arms alongside your head for a big stretch. Arms and legs. A big yawn. And when you feel ready, roll yourself onto your right hand side. Use your arm like a pillow. Your knees bent here. Find a comfortable spot and we'll use this time to consolidate the practice. Think about what we learned, how it felt, what you noticed, what was new. And then without attaching any judgment to that, good or bad, and put that practice behind us. Kiss it goodbye. And then gently roll yourself up to seated. Once in a seated position, you can inhale your hands out onto your knees. Exhale together in front of the chest. Thanks for practicing today. It was nice to have you, nice to practice together. Apana Vayu. Namaste.